Kaya Nivassana Satipattana Atu Chong Bido Saruna Legend Kupang Sabido Shipjatavare Erema Nane Kuevo Hojajiku Najalu alone of our Rene Name Quaid the whole of Hopo. Look, he said, my shoot my Kanika Samari, Abby car. Go by Yanet Nanayaku, Kwaja Sipia Vida. They eat at the Muda Dama Nia Sisula, the Piotr. And the observation of the work of the body. And the work of the body, she Nanayaku, Miluchi, Adaditi, Sena. You need Nanayu, Quetiga, Adaditi, Quality, Adaditi, Quality, Segaditi, Quality. The quality of the Shin Quality of Hoko. Shin Bible. Pianamshi, Qualuga, Ugatanayani, Inche is a body Kajama, Pianamshi, Pam. Nayoko, Naomi never knew how to go to Tatawa. At the Jamima to get Nina, that we shiver.
Yesterday, Sarah explained the mindfulness of the body, Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana, both from the theoretical and practical aspects in a brief manner, and how one can discern mind and body, Namarupa, with the practice of the mindfulness of the body, Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana. But this discernment of the mind and body process is not by just listening to the talk without any experience. It is only the direct knowledge realized through one's own experience by sustaining mindfulness and deepening one's momentary concentration, Kanika Samadhi, that one can realize this direct knowledge, not through just listening or speculation. And such direct knowledge is a real knowledge. So now it should be easily understandable that only when one discerns mind and body, or one can differentiate, this is the mind, this is the body, this is the noting object, this is the noted object, this is the noting mind, will one be able to be free from the distorted view of self or soul or individuality, Adda Ditti or Sakaya Ditti. But this overcoming or freedom from this distorted view is not total freedom. It is only part-time or temporary during the practice of this meditation. Only when you are able to progress from the basics through the different levels of insight knowledge to fulfillment will you be able to overcome this adaditi, or free from this distorted view of individuality to the point of no return. Then one will see just mind and body as mind and body, Namarupa as Namarupa, and not as person, being, individual, man, woman, and so on. Once you are able to discern this mind and body and continue to practice this way of mindfulness with diligent effort and precise aiming in all manners, such as sitting, standing, walking, stepping, stopping, lying, changing, lifting, moving, and placing, and so on, till one is able to deepen one's momentary concentration, one will come to realize this cause-effect linkage of mind and body correctly. This is one step further than the discernment of mind and body. How mind causes body, how mind causes mind, how body causes mind, and how body causes body. How relevant, due to relevant cause, there arises the relevant effect. Thus, one will come to be able to experience this cause-effect linkage with one's own personal experience. As the maximum goes, only when you continue to practice will you see the cause-effect relationship clearly. So on top of the discernment of mind and body, you are able to realize this cause-effect linkage, or cause and condition, or the discernment of conditions. This is known as Sappacchaya Parekaha Jnana. This is discernment or knowledge of the discernment of cause and effect. This is how mind causes the body, nama causes rupa. Like the example given previously, when you are going to sit down from standing position, there will be the discernment of mind and body in this process of sitting from standing posture. First, there is an intention to sit. This is mentality or nama, and consequent sitting process, which is rupa or materiality or body. There is no command. There is nobody who commands one to sit or stand. There is no supreme being to command this sitting process. It is because of the intention to sit, there arises the sitting process. Intention is mentality, nama, which is a cause, and the effect is the sitting process, rupa, body or materiality, such as heaviness, sinking body, stiffness, tension, movement, heat, cold, and so on during the sitting process. So intention here is the cause, which is mentality, nama, and sitting, the process of sitting, all these sensations which arise during sitting, stiffness, tension, heaviness, and so on, are effect, they are rupa. If there is no intention, there will be no sitting process. If there is no intention to sit, there will be no sitting process. Because of the series of intentions, there arises the series of sitting process. Thus, if you are mindful during the moment of sitting, you will be able to observe this nama, intention, and rupa, the sitting process, that is sensations during the moment of sitting. So you come to understand that there is only this cause-effect process and nothing else. At the moment of sitting, there is this intention to sit, which is the cause, and mentality, nama, or mind, and the sitting process as a result of this intention to sit, rupa or body, such as stiffness, tension, and so on. Thus one is able to understand that this process is not causeless. This is due to cause and condition. And also, even if one understands that this is not causeless, one will come to understand also the relevant cause giving effect, giving a result in relevant effect, leading to relevant effect. It's not irrelevant cause giving irrelevant effect. It is because of the intention to sit, there arises the sitting process, not the lying or bending or stretching process, only the sitting process. Thus, one comes to discover that the relevant cause give result to relevant effect. It's only the relevant cause and relevant effect, not irrelevant cause and irrelevant effect. So one comes to understand that there's a cause that's not causeless. And if one is able to be mindful at the moment of sitting with care and respect and diligent effort and precise aiming, then one will come to understand these two things, that is intention and the actual sitting process. Thus, things do not arise without any cause. They are not causeless. And there is only this cause-effect relationship and nothing else. Thus, one will be able to clear the stain of doubt. Hence the maxim that once the cause-effect is just the cause-effect is seen, one overcomes doubt. So in this way, with the practice, This is what has been said in the text, and one can verify with one's own experience. Just as one is able to discover this cause-effect linkage, that how nama causes rupa or mind causes body, clearly with one's mindfulness at the moment of sitting, one will also be clear about this phenomena in other postures, such as standing from a sitting position, lying, changing, lifting, moving, placing, and so on. And in this way, one will be clear about this cause-effect relationship. In this case, how mind causes the body with one's own personal experience. And such a knowledge is known as Yatha Bhuta Dasana Jnana. Jnana Dasana. Yatha Bhuta Jnana Dasana. This is the knowledge of correct knowledge and vision. The aftermath of this realization of Yatha Bhuta Jnana Dasana, that is correct knowledge and vision, is one will come to see things correctly. That is, one comes to be able to grasp this cause-effect linkage clearly. Previously, there might have been these doubts about the existence. One would have been thinking that there was such a thing as living entity. Now, with the realization of this knowledge, one is clear about this doubt. One has cleared this doubt, and one has no more doubt about the cause-effect relationship. And one will be clear about the non-existence of the living entity. So also, as much as one has cleared this doubt in the present, one will also be able to clear the doubt about the past events and also in the future. If one is not able to overcome this doubt about the relevant cause giving effect to relevant result, relevant effect, then one will hold on this view of the existence of Supreme Being, or Brahma, or the Deva, or the King of Devas, or Creator, who is supposed to be creating all the animate and inanimate world. Now, with the realization of this knowledge, correct knowledge and vision, such views are said to be removed. How this mind causes body, nama causes rupa, and in all these activities such as bending, stretching, even to the extent of these minute details of blinking of the eyes, opening and closing of the eyes. Because of the intention to open the eyes, there arises this opening process, and because of the intention to close the eyes, there arises this series of closing process. So due to intentions, there arises this series of materialities, such as stiffness, tension, movement. All these are very evident. So this is how one can understand this cause-effect relationship as far as this mind causes body is concerned. Example of how rupa causes nama, body causes mind, is let us say Sayadaw is giving a talk, he's speaking, of sound waves are reaching your ears, and because of the presence of sound waves, you are able to hear his voice. If without the sound waves, you will not be able to hear them. So this is how rupa causes nama, because the sound waves are the body or materiality, and the hearing consciousness is nama, mentality. So because of the presence of this materiality, which is sound, you are able to experience this mentality, namely the hearing consciousness. And there's another example of how the nama causes nama, or mind causes mind. Although there are only when the objects come into the focus of your sense consciousness, that is eye, of your eye, ear, and so on, you are able to see or hear, or taste, touch, and so on. But you need to accept these sounds or taste and smell and so on. Although the objects may strike the sense organs, if there is no mental advertence, no attention paid to this particular object, there will not arise any consciousness or seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness and so on. And this in Pali is known as manasikara, advertence, mental advertence or attention. And that is, the mind is directed towards the object. The mind is adverted or directed towards the object. Only when then you are able to experience the seeing consciousness or hearing consciousness, as the case may be. However much the surrounding you may be surrounded by other objects, like objects of smell or taste and so on. So only with the manasikara, mental advertence, attention, will you be able to experience this consciousness. Otherwise, you will not experience this consciousness. So here, manasikara is nama, mental advertence or attention is mentality, and the consciousness, seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness and so on, is mentality. So only with the mental advertence, only with the mental advertence towards the visible object will you see things. If not, there will be no seeing consciousness. And same thing goes with hearing consciousness and so on. Now, the obvious example is yogis are practicing. They are noting the main object and other secondary objects with diligent effort and precise aiming, and they are activating this Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration. When their concentration is deepened, they will not be aware of their surrounding. Because if they are aware of the surrounding, that means they have not deepened their concentration. So, however much there may be smell or sound and so on, you will not hear them, you will not taste them, you will not smell them, because you are concentrating on the objects of meditation, observation. You are mentally adverted, or your attention is directed towards your objects arising in the body. Thus, you are not aware of what's happening in your surrounding. There will be no hearing consciousness, no smelling consciousness. This is quite obvious. However, when the mindfulness becomes weak, you will begin to hear sounds, smell, experience smells and so on, because the mind has been directed towards that object instead of being falling calm and collected on the objects in the body. So this shows that because of this mental attention or mental advertence, which is nama, there causes this consciousness, which is also nama. This is the example of how nama causes nama, or mind causes mind. In a sense, these as six sense objects strike this six sense doors, relevant objects striking the or invading this six sense doors. There comes into this contact between the object and consciousness. This in Pali is known as phassa, which is mentality, nama. Let us say the sound waves strike the eardrum, and at that time there arises the hearing consciousness. So the contact of the three are the object and the mind. Here the object, materiality, is the ear and the sound, and the mind is the hearing consciousness. When these two things come into contact, this is phassa and this is mentality, nama or mind. When the objects are good, there will arise this good feeling. When there's a sweet sound, sweet voice, then it will be nice to hear. Otherwise, there will be aversion if the sound is unpleasant. And if it's neutral, there will be neutral feeling. Of course, this neutral feeling is not so obvious. So this is the example of how phassa, contact of the three, causes the feeling. How nama causes nama, how mind causes mind. There are many examples to talk about this. This is just a simple example to show that how nama causes nama. So when yogis are able to be mindful at the moment of hearing, seeing, tasting, touching and so on, they will come to understand that good context leads to good feeling. This is how nama causes nama, mind causes mind. Causes nama or body causes the mind. Let us say yogis are noting the main objects of rising and falling in their practice with diligent effort, and when the mindfulness is very strong, they are able to follow this rising and falling of the abdomen. But time will come when the falling, say, fades away, and you are not able to note this falling because it has faded and becomes very subtle and gentle. Thus, you can see how one can only note this falling process when there is a falling takes place. If there is no falling, if the falling has disappeared, then there cannot be any noting mind, noting consciousness about this falling. So this is how this falling process is rupa, the body, and the noting mind or noting consciousness is nama, mentality. At times even the rising may fade away in the course of the practice, and yogis will be at a loss. They will be at a loss to note. They will be confused what to note. So when because of the rising of the abdomen, there occurs this noting mind, noting consciousness about the rising. When there is no rising, there will be no noting mind, no noting consciousness. Thus, this is the example of how rupa causes nama or body causes the mind. When there is a body, there will be the mind. When there is no body, there will be no mind, no noting consciousness. So this is quite obvious. At times, materialities rise continuously, such as hardness, softness, fluidity, solidity, heat, cold, lightness, stiffness, tension, movement, all these things. So while one is noting the stiffness in one place, there may arise in another part of the body heat. Because while before one is able to note completely the stiffness. So when the heat arises, one goes to, because this is predominant, one goes to note this heat as hot, and so on. So because of the heat, there is this noting consciousness about heat. Now while one is noting heat, there may arise in another part of the body, itchy feeling, crawly feeling, worms crawling and so on. Then one has got to go and note this object. And still another object arises, and so on. So every time objects arise, one has got to note these objects. Noting mind arises about these objects. So the cause here is these materialities, as the sensations, in this case stiffness, tension, movement. Because of these sensations, physical sensations, there arises this noting consciousness. So this is an example of how rupa causes nama or body causes mind. Talk, and this is when they hear, it is not only the mental advertence or attention, not just the cause of nama, not just the process of nama causing nama. There is also the process of how rupa causes nama, the cause of rupa nama linkage. Now here the rupa or body is the sound. Now the sound strikes the ear, there arises this hearing consciousness. If there is no sound, there will be no hearing consciousness. Because of the sound, rupa, the body, there arises the hearing consciousness, which is the mind. And you continue to hear it so long as there is a sound. So long as the sound is striking the ear drum. Just sound is not enough. There must be this ear sensitivity. Sota pasara. So ear sensitivity is the rupa or body, materiality, which is struck by this sound waves. So the resultant mentality, nama, such as hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and feeling. All these three come under mentality, nama. They arise because of the presence of the ear sensitivity and sound, which are rupa. Thus, this is how one can understand the cause-effect linkage of rupa causing nama, the body causing the mind. At the moment of hearing, there is this cause-effect relationship, that is, rupa causes nama, body causes the mind. In this also, only relevant cause give rise to relevant effect, not irrelevant cause giving rise to irrelevant effect. If there is no sound or ear, there will not arise any hearing consciousness. No supreme being, no Brahma, no Deva, no king of Devas can cause you to hear if there is no relevant cause, and there will be no relevant effect. If there is no relevant cause, there will be no relevant effect. And also when the conditions are fulfilled, that is, when there is the sound and the ear, then when these conditions are fulfilled, no amount of supreme being, hundreds or thousands of supreme beings can come and hinder this phenomena, this process, not to hear or see or so on. So this is how relevant cause give rise to relevant effect. And if there is no relevant cause, there will be no relevant effect. No supreme being can come and command that this should happen or so and so should happen. And no supreme being can come and hinder this process, so long as there are these conditions fulfilled. Thus one will be clear about this cause-effect linkage. If one is not mindful at the moment of rising, one will not realize this cause-effect linkage, especially this relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect. And thus one will not know correctly. That is Yatha Buddha Jnana Dasana. One will not realize this correct knowledge and vision. Thus there will be the skeptical doubt, indecisiveness. In Pali it is known as samsaya. One will become doubtful. One will have a distorted consciousness because one is indecisive. One's consciousness will be distorted. There will be wrong decision, and this in Pali is known as samoha, intense bewilderment, intense confusion, because one is not able to penetrate the true nature of realities. And this leads to distorted consciousness and distorted wrong decision. And thus one may hold the view of causelessness. There's no cause view, that there is no cause, they just happen accidentally, that sort of thing. And because one does not understand that real cause, relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect, one will have wrongful thoughts, wrongful consciousness, and a wrongful decision. And one will hold the view that these are created by these Brahmas, Devas, or King of Devas, or Supreme Being, and so on. And such inclination is known as abhinivesa. And when this means inclination, and when these two are combined together, samoha and abhinivesa becomes samoha abhinivesa. This is inclination towards intense bewilderment or confusion. Now, because one is clear about the cause and effect, this intense inclination is said to be removed. So this is how the rupa causes nama, body causes the mind. Now we come to another example, how body causes a body, rupa causes rupa. Let us take this weather as an example. When there's how weather affects the body. The body feels hot or cold, depending on the weather. When the weather is cold, there's a change in the body, and one feels very cold, and one has got to wear warm clothes. So this is the effect, changes in the body. This is how rupa causes rupa, body causes body. When the weather becomes warm, one feels comfortable. This also is a change in the body. And when it becomes really hot, one will feel the heat in the body. There will be sweat and tiredness. All these things are materialities. So this is how this weather, which is the body or materiality, causes another materiality, namely heat, cold, and warmth, tiredness, and sweat, and so on in the body. Another example to show how rupa causes rupa, a body causes body, is when you take food. The food can affect the body. Without the food, one feels weak. And this is how rupa causes rupa, body causes the body. And when one takes the meal, one feels fresh and strong and healthy. This is the materialities. This is the effect of the body. So this is how, with the food, one can understand the cause-effect linkage of body causing body. Now, and impure by actions by body, speech and mind are performed, and how they give rise to these desirable and undesirable consequences. This will be dealt with in the future lectures, and may the yogis be able to practice this mindfulness, and as an aftermath of this discernment of mind and body, be able to understand this cause-effect relationship, how mind and body cause each other, conditions each other, how body causes the body and how body causes mind and so on, and realize this correct knowledge and vision. Yatha Bhuta Jnana. That's all for this evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.